In many districts in Rhode Island, the primary really determines who gets voted into office, not the general. We are here at Cranston City Hall to remind you that the deadline to request a mail-in ballot for the primary is August 18th. In the last presidential election cycle, more than 35% of Cranston voters did not vote. Our vote is our voice in what our state should look like. Do your lawmakers advance racial justice, Cranston? Think about it. The deadline to request a mail-in ballot for the primary is August 18th. Or you can vote early in person starting August 19th. Again, we are here at Cranston City Hall. If you are a Cranston resident, the Board of Canvassers is right in there. You would go in there. If you want to get a mail ballot, you can request it. Or you can vote early in person starting August 19th at the Board of Canvassers. But it's really important, let's elect candidates who are working to create the kind of change the kind of state we all want to live in. That's what the election's all about. Our vote is our voice. The deadline to request a mail-in ballot for the primary is August 18th. Or you can vote in person at the Board of Canvassers early, starting August 19th. Primary day is September 8th. We want as many people to vote in the primary as possible because our vote is our voice. There's a lot of contested primaries in Cranston this year. So let's elect candidates who are working to create the kind of state we all want to live in. Check to see if your local politician has a primary challenger. Deadline to request a mail-in ballot for the primary is August 18th. There's a couple different ways you can vote. You can vote by mail-in ballot. You can vote early in person at your Board of Canvassers starting August 19th. Or you can do it the traditional way, which is voting at your polling place on September 8th. Now, in the last presidential election cycle, more than 35% of Cranston voters did not vote. We can do better than that, Cranston. The deadline to request a mail-in ballot is August 18th, and in many districts in Rhode Island, including here in Cranston, the primary really determines who gets voted into office, not the general. We're just kind of adjusting here. Yes, or you can vote early in person at the Board of Canvassers starting August 19th. We just want you to have a plan. We want you to vote in the primary and we want you to vote in the general election. But this year you need a plan. And you have to decide whether you want to vote by mail, in which case you have to get a mail-in ballot application and then send it in by August 18th. You must apply for a mail ballot, and you must get it into the Board of Canvassers by 4 p.m. on August 18th. Or you can vote early in person at your local Board of Canvassers. If you are a Cranston resident like me, you would come here to Cranston City Hall. That's where the Board of Canvassers is. Every Board of Canvassers is pretty much in the City Hall, I think. So you can request a mail ballot Or you can vote early in person at your Board of Canvassers starting August 19th. Or you can vote the traditional way, which is going to your polling place. However, this year, there's going to be a lot fewer polling places because there's a lot fewer people willing to work in the polls. So that's something you can also do, is you can go work in the polls. That you'd also do with your local Board of Canvassers. Contact them, see if they need anybody, because I'm sure they're looking for people. Many people that work in the polls tend to be older retirees who may not feel comfortable working in a public place on election day. So where there's a shortage. So you can apply for mail-in ballot, or you can vote early in person at your Board of Canvassers, or you can go to your polling place. But if you want to go to your polling place on election day, you have to look it up online because it might change. Because there are probably going to be a lot fewer polling places this year. Especially in the primary, because there's already fewer polling places in the primary. So just double check. But if you want to do mail-in, the deadline to request a mail-in ballot for the primary is August 18th. Or you can vote early in person at your Board of Canvassers starting August 19th. We just really want to get this message out. Voting this year is going to be different than every other year. So we want to make sure you're ready, you have a plan, and you put that plan into action, because our vote is our voice. We want to make sure that politicians that get elected are working on behalf of the people and are working toward the goals that we want them to work toward. So if you want a mail-in ballot, apply by August 18th, because our vote is our voice. Like I said in the other video, let's elect candidates who are working to create the kind of state we all want to live in. And if you vote in the primary, you have that much more of an impact. Because you have to ask yourself, who gets to shape the laws that impact our health, our rights, and our futures? It's the people we elect. And in Rhode Island, who gets into office is really determined by the primary in many cases, not the general. So you want to vote in the primary. And because generally a lot fewer people vote in the primary, your vote is even that much more impactful. So ask yourself, do your lawmakers advance racial justice? You know, there are some Cranston ones who you might want to ask that question about. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to name names, but you know what I'm talking about. Because our vote is our voice and what our state should look like. And in the last presidential election cycle, more than 35% of Cranston voters did not vote. That's huge. Let's do better, Cranston and everywhere. The deadline to request a mail-in ballot for the primary in Rhode Island is August 18th. Or you can vote early in person starting August 19th. Or you can vote the traditional way in your polling place. But in many districts in Rhode Island, the primary really determines who gets voted into office, not the general. That's because there's not a lot of Republicans that are running, or they're not competitive. So if there's two Democrats running against each other in your district, then that will get determined in the primary who wins. Yeah, I mean, some Democrats run under the party affiliation of Democrat, but they don't really fight for our values. So we want to make sure we have people in office that are fighting for our values. And so if you want to vote in the primary, the deadline to request a mail-in ballot is August 18th. Or you can vote early in person at your Board of Canvassers, which is right here at Cranston City Hall if you're a Cranston resident. we just want to get that message out that voting is important. Voting this year is going to be different. In some cases, more difficult, so you got to have a plan. Do you want to do a mail-in? Do you want to go early and vote in the Board of Canvassers? Or do you want to go to your polling place? Also, so you can vote early in person, even on election day. So if you don't know, you can't figure out where your polling place is, or it's not convenient, if you're free during the day, you can go into the City Hall and vote at the Board of Canvassers on the day of election day also. Because remember, our vote is our voice. So the deadline to request a mail-in ballot for the primary is August 18th, or you can vote early in person at your Board of Canvassers starting August 19th. Or you can vote the traditional way in the polling place. All right, so again, the deadline to request a mail-in ballot is August 18th, or you can vote early in person starting August 19th. The primary is September 8th. Make sure you get out and vote. Have a plan. All right, this is the Woman Project, and we are signing off.